Hey guys, I am doing the devotional this week. I got my COVID vaccine yesterday, my second one, so I'm tired and I have a headache, but we're gonna get through this. And today's devotional is gonna be a little different, a lot of left field, but it is something that I recently learned about, and so now you guys get to learn about it. And what I'm going to be talking about today is imprecatory psalms. And I did Google that pronunciation. It is based on the root word of imprecate, which is to utter a curse or invoke misfortune against someone or something. So an imprecatory psalm is a psalm in which the author calls down calamity, destruction, and God's wrath and judgment on the enemies of the writer of the psalm. And I had seen these come up recently online, and I was like, I really have no knowledge about these. Like, I knew they were out there, but I didn't know that they had a defined name, and really what how we as Christians should view them, if we should be praying in a similar way. So that was kind of my rabbit hole of research, and I'm going to share that with you today. So these Psalms, there are several throughout the book of Psalms in which there are curses or misfortune wished upon a certain group. I'm not going to go into every single one of them, but you've got Psalm 5 that says, make them bear their guilt, O God. Let them all by their own counsels, because of the abundance of their transgressions, cast them out, for they have rebelled against you. Psalm 10:15, break the arm of the wicked and evildoer, call his wickedness to account till you find none. Psalm 35:26, let them be put to shame and disappointed altogether who rejoice at my calamity. Let them be clothed with shame and dishonor who magnify themselves against me. And then Psalm 137 has, to me, one of the more dramatic examples. O daughter of Babylon, doomed to be destroyed, blessed shall be he who repays you with what you have done to us. Blessed shall be he who takes your little ones and dashes them against the rock. So, not warm fuzzy. And the question is ultimately, should modern day Christians pattern their prayers after these types of psalms? It's not an uncommon practice to pray the psalms. Is that something we should also be incorporating into our prayer life? Just based on, the very dramatic and negative connotations that they have. And you get some differing answers. There are some who say that this might just be an Old Testament thing that no longer applies today. However, that doesn't necessarily take into account imprecations in the New Testament. So we do see similar requests for judgment in the New Testament. 1 Corinthians 16:22, if anyone has no love for the Lord, let him be accursed, our Lord come. 2 Timothy 4:14, Alexander the coppersmith did me great harm. The Lord will repay him according to his deeds. And then Revelation 6:10, it's talking from the perspective of martyrs and their requests, and it says they cried out with a loud voice, Sovereign Lord, holy and true, how long before you will judge and avenge our blood on those who dwell on the earth? So it is clearly not something that is just Old Testament. It's something that has carried throughout the Bible. However, the same person who, is cursing Alexander, the coppersmith, being Paul, is the one who says, bless those who persecute you, bless and do not curse. So how do we reconcile those two things? And ultimately, what I came down to on this is there is a time and a place for these types of sentiments, prayers, feelings. It is not a place that I find myself in very often. I think when you look at the context of these Psalms, you have a small handful of them out of the majority of the Psalms, and the majority of the Psalms are not imprecatory. You also have the context that they were written with. We are not undertaking the conquest of any other countries right now. We are not being conquered by any other countries right now. We are not in the same situation that the Israelites were in the Old Testament. And so their perspective was a lot more, they were a lot more apt to see those deep kinds of injustice where we have it pretty nice here, and we might not be exposed to the same level of things that would cause us to make these requests of God. I don't think that means that you can never pray those types of things, because ultimately, when you're praying for God's will to be done, that includes God's judgment, and that's not something that we can erase or should erase. I think having a healthy understanding of sin and the impact on the world means that you are upset by injustice. But personally, for me, as I look at it, I don't think that praying those types of things against somebody else would put me in a good headspace. I could see where for somebody else it might be a way to work through a trauma, but personally for me, I think I would dwell in it, and I think I would sit in it, and I would not move past those feelings. So for me, it's something where I don't think that right now I have a need for it. I hope that I won't really have a deep need for it, but I don't think it is incorrect to pray these kinds of things. I think you need to keep the correct context, and understand that it is prayers against God's enemies and not your enemies, and understand that God is going to work that out, how God works that out, but it's not something that I necessarily want to find myself doing frequently. So that was kind of my take on this, and it's something that I've seen come up just as other people work through experiences that they have had that have been negative, and this is a way that they have coped with those experiences. And having not been in their positions, I don't want to knock that, but from my perspective, I think it's something to be approached cautiously. So that's about all that I have to share on that. I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, and if this is something you were familiar with before, and what your perspective might be on it, because it was something that was definitely new to me and was really interesting to dig into. So that's what I got. I hope everybody has a good week, and we'll see you soon. Bye.